On October 30th, 1938, Orson Welles and his Mercury Theater on the Air broadcast an adaptation of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds. This adaptation was unique as it shifted the action from the United Kingdom to the United States, from the 19th century to the 20th, and from the realm of speculative fiction to possible fact. Through various circumstances, namely simple confusion from those listeners who tuned into the broadcast after the initial announcement that the program was a work of theater, Wells' production set off a panic amongst a New England populace deep in the throes of pre-World War II paranoia. Our production tonight takes that script and that paranoia and transplants the action to Lebanon in the 1930s, with all that this change entails. The stage is set, and all that is left is for you to enter into your role as a member of the audience. It is a warm October night in 1938. You are sitting at home with the radio on. You've listened to the opening comedy sketch from your usual favorite evening program, and when it changes to a musical interlude, you start twiddling the dial and searching for something else. Without your knowledge, you stumble upon KBABC and the Vagabond International Theater on the Air in their adaptation of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds.
For the next 24 hours, not much change in temperature. A slight atmospheric disturbance of undetermined origin is reported over Turkey, causing a low-pressure area to move down rather rapidly over the northeastern states, bringing a forecast of rain accompanied by winds of light gale force. Maximum temperature 19, minimum 9 degrees. This weather report comes to you from the Government Weather Bureau. We now take you to the Grand Theatre in downtown Beirut, where you will be entertained by the music of Enrique Bonito and his ensemble.
Buonasera, ladies and gentlemen. From the Grand Theatre, we bring you the music of Enrique Bonito and his ensemble. With a touch of the blues, Enrique Bonito leads off with St. James Infirmary.
I went down to St. James Infirmary, saw my baby there, lying on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so fair. Went up to see the
Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt our program of dance music to bring you a special bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. At 20 minutes before 8 Central Time, Professor Pierson of AUB Lee Observatory reports observing several explosions of incandescent gas occurring at regular intervals on the planet Mars. The spectroscope indicates the gas to be hydrogen and moving towards velocity. Professor Pierson of the AUB Lee Observatory confirms Farrell's observation and describes the phenomenon as, quote, like a jet of blue flame shot from a gun, unquote. We now return you to the music of Enrique Bonito.
Went down to St. James Infirmary, saw my baby there, lying on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so fair.
Now a tune that never loses favor, the ever-popular Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, Enrique Bonito and his ensemble.
I don't want you, but I'd hate to lose you. You've got me in between the devil and the deep blue sea. I forgive you, 'cause I can't forget you. You've got me in between the devil and the deep blue.
Ladies and gentlemen, following on the news given in our bulletin a moment ago, the Government Meteorological Bureau has requested the large observatories of the country to keep an astronomical watch on any further disturbances occurring on the planet Mars. Due to the unusual nature of this occurrence, We have arranged an interview with the noted astronomer, Professor Pierson, who will give us his views on this event. In a few moments, we will take you to the AUB Lee Observatory. We now return you, until then, to the music of Enrique Bonito and his ensemble.
Cross you off my list, but when you come knocking at my door, fate seems to give my heart a twist, and I come running back for more.
We are ready now to take you to the observatory where Carl Phillips, our commentator, will interview Professor Pierson, famous astronomer.
This is Carl Phillips, speaking to you from the AUB Lee Observatory. I am standing in a large semicircular room, pitch black except for the oblong split in the ceiling. Through this opening, I can see a sprinkling of stars that cast a kind of frosty glow over the intricate mechanism of the huge telescope. The ticking sound you hear is the vibration of the clockwork. Professor Pierson stands directly above me on a large platform, peering through the giant lens. Professor, may I begin our questions?
At any time, Mr. Phillips.
Professor, would you please tell our radio audience exactly what you see as you observe the planet Mars through your telescope?
Nothing unusual at the moment, Mr. Phillips. A red disk swimming in the blue sea, transverse stripes across the disk. Quite distinct now because Mars happens to be at the point nearest the Earth. In opposition, as we call it.
In your opinion, what do these transverse stripes signify, Professor Pierson?
Not canals, I can assure you, Mr. Phillips. Although that's the popular conjecture of those who imagine Mars to be inhabited. From a scientific viewpoint, the stripes are merely a result of atmospheric conditions peculiar to the planet.
Then you're quite convinced as a scientist that living intelligence as we know it does not exist on Mars?
I should say the chances against it are 1,000 to 1.
And yet, how do you account for these gas eruptions occurring on the surface of the planet at regular intervals?
Mr. Phillips, I cannot account for it.
By the way, Professor, for the benefit of our listeners, of course, how far is Mars from the Earth?
Approximately 40 million miles.
Well, that seems a safe enough distance. Just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Someone has just handed Professor Pierson a message. One moment, please. Professor, may I read the message to the listening audience?
Certainly, Mr. Phillips.
Ladies and gentlemen, I shall be reading to you a wire addressed to Professor Pierson from Dr. Gray of the Lebanese American University. Seismograph registered shock of almost earthquake intensity occurring at a radius of 40 kilometers of Beirut. Please investigate. Signed, Lloyd Gray, Chief of Astronomical Division. Professor Pierson, could this occurrence possibly have something to do with the disturbances observed on the planet Mars?
Hardly, Mr. Phillips. This is probably a meteorite of unusual size, and its arrival at this particular time is merely a coincidence. However, we shall conduct the search as soon as daylight permits.
Thank you, Professor. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 10 minutes, we've been speaking to you from the observatory at AUB, bringing to you a special interview with Professor Pierson, noted astronomer. This is Carl Phillips speaking. We now return you to our studio.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News. Toronto, Canada. Professor Moores of Macmillan University reports observing a total of 3 explosions on the planet Mars between the hours of 7:45 p.m. and 9:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This confirms earlier reports received from American observatories. Now, nearer home, comes a special announcement. It is reported that at 6:50 p.m., a huge flaming object believed to be a meteorite fell on a vineyard in the neighborhood of Saane, 23 kilometers from Beirut. The flash in the sky was visible within a radius of several hundred kilometers, and the noise of the impact was heard as far north as Tripoli. We have dispatched a special mobile unit to the scene, and will have our commentator, Mr. Phillips, give you a word description as soon as he can reach there. In the meantime, we take you back to the Grand Theatre. We now take you to Saane.
Ladies and gentlemen, well, I hardly know where to begin. To paint for you a word picture of the strange scene before my eyes, like something out of a modern Arabian Nights. Well, I just got here. I haven't had the chance to look around yet. Oh, I guess that's it. Yes, I guess that's the thing directly in front of me, half buried in the vast pit. Must have struck with terrific force. The ground is covered with splinters of a tree it must have struck on its way down. What I can make of the object itself doesn't look very much like a meteor, or at least any of the meteors I've seen. It looks more like a huge cylinder. Is the diameter of... Oh, what would you say, Professor Pierson?
About 30 meters.
About 30 meters. The metal on the sheath is, well, I've never seen anything like it. The color is a sort of yellowish white. Curious spectators are now pressing close to the object in spite of the efforts of police to keep them back. They're getting in front of my line of vision. Would you mind standing to one side, please?
One side there, one side.
While the policemen are pushing the crowd back, here's Madame Angelique, owner of the vineyard here. She may have some interesting facts to add. Madame Angelique, would you please tell the radio audience as much as you remember of this rather unusual visitor that has dropped into your backyard? Step closer, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Madame Angelique.
Me, I was listening to the radio.
Closer, please, and louder.
Pardon?
Louder, please, and closer.
Yes, sir. I was listening to the radio and kind of drowsing that Professor Fellow was talking about Mars. So I was kind of half dozing and half...
Yes, Madame Angelique. And then what happened?
As I was saying, I was listening to the radio, kind of, how you say, halfway?
Yes, madam. And then you saw something?
Not first off, I heard something.
And what did you hear?
A hissing sound, like the Bastille rocket.
And then what?
Turned my head out the window, I would have sworn I was asleep to dreaming.
Yes?
I seen kind of a greenish streak, and then zingo, something knocked me clear out of my chair.
Well, were you frightened, madame?
Well, I'm not quite sure. I reckon I was kind of, riled.
Thank you, Madame Angelique. Thank you.
Want me to tell you some more?
No, that's quite all right. That's plenty. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just heard Madame Angelique, owner of the vineyard where this thing has fallen. I wish I could convey the atmosphere, the background of this fantastic scene. Hundreds of cars are packed in the field in back of us. Police are trying to rope off the roadway leading into the vineyard, but it's no use. They're breaking right through. Their headlights throw an enormous spot on the pit where the object is half buried. Some of the more daring souls are venturing near the edge. Their silhouettes fade out against the metal sheen. One man wants to touch the thing. He's having an argument with the policeman. The policeman wins. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's something I haven't quite mentioned in all this excitement, but it's becoming more distinct. Perhaps you've caught it already on your radio. Listen. Do you hear it? It's a humming sound that seems to come from inside the object. I'll move the microphone nearer. Now we're not more than 10 meters away. Can you hear it too? Oh, Professor Pierson.
Yes, Mr. Phillips?
Can you tell us the meaning of that scraping noise inside the thing?
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
Do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial, not found on this Earth. Friction with the Earth's atmosphere usually tears holes in a meteorite. This thing is smooth and, as you can see, of cylindrical shape.
Just a minute. Something's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, this is terrific. The end of the thing is beginning to flake off. The top is beginning to rotate like a screw. The thing must be hollow.
Back. There, keep back. I told you.
She's a moving. Look, the darn thing's unscrewing.
There's an idiot back. Trying to escape.
It's red hot. We'll burn into a cinder.
She's off. The top's loose. Look out there. Stand back.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the most terrifying thing I have ever witnessed. Wait a minute. Something's crawling out of the hollow top. Someone or something. I can see peering out of that black hole two luminous discs. Are they eyes? It might be a face. It might be... Good heavens! Something's wriggling out of the shadow like a gray snake. And now it's another one. And another. They look like tentacles to me. There, I can see the thing's body. It's as large as a bear. It glistens like wet leather. Oh, but that face. It's indescribable. I can hardly force myself to keep looking at it. The eyes are black and gleam like a serpent. The mouth is V-shaped with saliva dripping from its rimless lips that seem to quiver and pulsate. The monster, or whatever it is, can hardly move. It seems weighed down by possibly gravity or something. The thing's rising up. The crowd falls back. They've seen enough. This is the most extraordinary experience. I can't find words. I'm pulling this microphone with me as I talk. I'll have to stop the description until I've taken a new position. Hold on. I'll be back in a minute.
We are bringing you an eyewitness account of what's happening on the Bordeaux vineyard in Sahela, Lebanon. We now return you to Carl Phillips at Sahela.
around. Here I am, back of a stone wall that adjoins the Bordeaux vineyard. From here I can get a sweep of the whole scene. I'll give you every detail as long as I can talk, as long as I can see. More state police have arrived. They're drawing up a cordon in front of the pit, about 30 of them. No need to push the crowd back now. They're willing to keep their distance. The captain seems to be conferring with someone. We can't quite see who. Oh, yes. I believe it's Professor Pierson. Yes, it is. Now they've parted. The professor moves around one side, studying the object, while the captain and the two policemen advance with something in their hands. I can see it now. It's a white handkerchief tied to a pole. A flag of truce? If those creatures know what that means. What anything means. Wait, something's happening. A humped shape is rising out of the pit. I can make out a small beam of light against a mirror. What's that? There's a jet of flame springing from that mirror, and it leaps right at the advancing men. It strikes them head on. Good Lord, they're turning into flame. Now the whole city's caught fire. The woods, the vines, the gas tanks of the automobiles. It's spreading everywhere. It's coming this way, about 20 yards to my right.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the broadcast from Sahela. Evidently, there's some difficulty with our field transmission. However, we will return to that point at the earliest opportunity. In the meantime, we will continue with our piano interview. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been handed a message that came in from Sahela by telephone. Just a moment. At least 40 people, including 6 state troopers, lie dead in a field east of Sahela, their bodies burned and distorted beyond all possible recognition. The next voice you hear will be that of Brigadier General Winston Smith, commander of the 1st Foreign Infantry Regiment of the French Foreign Legion.
I've been requested by the ministry to place the local area under martial law. No one will be permitted to enter this area except by special pass issued by state or military authorities. 4 companies of troops are proceeding to Sahela and will aid in the evacuation of homes within a range of military operations. Thank you.
You have just been listening to General Winston Smith, commanding the 1st Foreign Infantry Regiment. In the meantime, further details of the catastrophe at Sahela are coming in. The strange creatures, after unleashing their deadly assault, crawled back into their pit and made no attempt to prevent the efforts of firemen to recover the bodies and extinguish the fire. Combined fire departments are fighting the flame that menaced the entire countryside. We have been unable to establish any contact with our mobile units at Sahela, but we hope to be able to return you there at the earliest possible moment. In the meantime, we take you... Just one moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I have just been informed that we have finally established communication with an eyewitness of the tragedy. Professor Pierson has been located at a farmhouse near Sahela, where he has established an emergency observation post. As a scientist, he will give you his explanation of the calamity. The next voice you hear will be that of Professor Pierson, brought to you by Direct Wire. Professor Pierson.
Of the creatures in the rocket cylinder at Sahela, I can give you no source of this information either as to their nature, their origin, or their purposes here on Earth. Of those destructive instruments, I might venture into some conjectural explanation. For want of a better term, I shall refer to the mysterious weapon as heat ray. It is also evident that his researchers have scientific knowledge far in advance of our own. There's not just that in some way they are able to generate an intensity in a chamber packed with absolute non-conductivity. This intensity that is suggested a parabolic beam against any object in choice by means of positive area of unknown composition, which is similar by how suggested by a beam. This is my conjecture working with a heat ray.
Thank you, Professor Pierson. Ladies and gentlemen, here is a bulletin from Junior. It is a brief statement informing us that the charred body of Carl Phillips has been identified in the hospital. Now here's another special bulletin.
We have received a request from the combined police and military forces to place at their disposal our entire broadcasting facilities. In view of the gravity of this situation, and believing that radio has a responsibility to serve in the public interest at all times, we will acquiesce to their interest.
We take you now to the field headquarters of the 1st Foreign Infantry Regiment near Sahela.
This is Captain Lansing of the Signal Corps attached to the 1st FIR, now engaged in military operations in the vicinity of Sahela. Situation arising from the reported presence of certain individuals of unidentified nature is now under complete control. The cylindrical object, which lies in a pit directly below our position, is surrounded on all sides by 8 battalions of infantry without heavy field pieces, but adequately armed with rifles and machine guns. All cause for alarm, if such a case ever existed, is now entirely unjustified. The things, whatever they are, do not even venture to poke their heads above the pit. I can see their hiding place plainly in the glare of the searchlights here. With all their reported resources, these creatures can scarcely stand up towards heavy machine gun fire. Anyway, it's an interesting outing for the troops. I can make out their khaki uniforms crossing back and forth in front of the lights. It looks almost like a real war. There appears to be some slight smoke in the woods bordering the river, probably fire started by campers. Well, we ought to see some action soon. One of the companies is deploying on the left flank. A quick thrust and it will be all over. Now wait a minute. I see something on top of the cylinder. No, it's nothing but a shadow. Now the troops are on the edge of the vineyard. 7,000 armed men closing in on an old metal tub. Wait, that wasn't a shadow. It's something moving. Solid metal, kind of like a shield, like a flare rising up out of the cylinder. It's going higher and higher. Why, it's up out of the cylinder. It's going higher and higher. Why, it's standing on legs, actually rearing up on a sort of metal framework. Now it's reaching above the trees and the searchlights are on it. Hold it!
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, both the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in Sahela tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars. The battle which took place tonight at Sahela has ended in one of the most startling defeats ever suffered by an army in modern times. 7,000 men armed with rifles and machine guns pitted against a single fighting machine of the invaders of Mars. 120 no survivors. The monster is now in control of the greater Lebanon and has effectively cut the country through its center. Communication lines are down from Damascus to the Mediterranean Sea. Railroad tracks are torn and service has been discontinued. Police and army reserves are unable to control the mad flights. By morning, the fugitives will have swelled Junior and surrounding villages. It is estimated to twice their normal population. Martial law prevails throughout the countryside. At this time, we take you now to Geneva for a special broadcast on the national emergency. The Secretary General of the League of Nations.
Citizens of the nation, I shall not try to conceal the gravity of the situation that confronts our country. However, I wish to impress upon you, private citizens and public officials, all of you, the urgent need of calm and resourceful action. Fortunately, this formidable enemy is still confined to a comparatively small area, and we may place our faith in the military forces to keep it there. In the meantime, we must continue the performance of our duties, each and every one of us, so that we may confront this destructive adversary with a nation united, courageous, and consecrated to the preservation of human supremacy on this earth. Thank you.
You have just heard the Secretary General of the League of Nations speaking from Geneva. Bulletins too numerous to read are piling up in the studio here. We are informed that the central portion of the country is blacked out from radio communication due to the effect of the heat ray upon power lines and electrical equipment. Here is a special bulletin from Beirut. Cables received from English, French, German scientific bodies offering assistance. Astronomers report continued gas outbursts at regular intervals on the planet Mars. Majority voice opinion that the enemy will be reinforced by additional rocket machines. Attempts made to locate Professor Pierson, who has observed Martians at a close range. It is feared he was lost in recent battle. Chouenle. Scouting planes report 3 Martian machines visible, moving west towards Byblos with a population fleeing ahead of them. Heat ray not in use, although advancing at express train speed. Invaders pick their way carefully. It seems they seem to be making conscious efforts to avoid destruction of cities and countryside. However, they stop to uproot power lines, bridges, and railroad tracks. Their apparent objective is to crush resistance, paralyze communications, and disorganize human society. Here is a bulletin from Saddi. Hunters have stumbled on a second cylinder similar to the first, embedded near Lake Karoun. Army of the Levant. Field pieces are proceeding from Marjayoun to blow up second invading unit before cylinder can be opened and the fighting machine rig. They are taking up position in foothills of the mountain. Another bulletin from Chuen Lake. Scouting planes report enemy machines, now 3 in number, increasing speed westward, kicking over houses and trees in their evident haste to form a conjunction with their allies. Machines also sighted by telephone operator east of Tripoli. Here's a bulletin from Sidon. Fleet of army bombers carrying heavy explosives flying north in pursuit of the enemy. Scouting planes act as guides. They keep speeding enemy in sight. Just a moment, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we've run special wires to the artillery line in adjacent villages to give you direct reports in the zone of the advancing enemy. First, we take you to the battery of the 22nd Field Artillery, located in the mountains.
Range, 32 meters.
32 meters.
Projection, 39 degrees.
39 degrees.
Fire.
140 yards to the right, sir.
Shift range, 31 meters.
31 meters.
Projection, 37 degrees.
37 degrees.
Fire.
A hit, sir. We got the tripod of one of them. They've stopped. The others are trying to repair it.
Quick, get the range. Shift 50, 30 meters.
30 meters.
Projection, 27 degrees.
27 degrees.
Fire.
Can't see the shell land, sir. They're letting off smoke.
What is it?
Moving this way, lying close to the ground. It's moving fast.
Put on gas masks. Get ready to fire. Shift is 24 meters.
24 meters.
Projection, 24 degrees.
24 degrees.
Fire.
I can't see it. The smoke's coming near.
Get the range.
23 meters.
26 meters.
23 meters. Projection, 22 degrees.
22 degrees.
Army bombing plane V-843 off Deir el-Ahmar, Lieutenant Voght, commanding 8 bombers, reporting to Commander Fairfax, Chuen Lake. This is Voght reporting to Commander Fairfax, Chuen Lake. Enemy tripod machines now in sight, reinforced by 3 machines from the Lake Karawan cylinder. 6 altogether. 1 machine partially crippled, believed hit by shell from army gun in the mountains. Guns now appear silent. A heavy black fog hanging close to the earth, of extreme density, nature unknown, no sign of heat ray. Enemy now turns east, crossing the river into the marshes. Another straddles the highway. Evidence objective is Beirut. They're pushing down a high-tension power station. The machines are close together now, and we're ready to attack. Planes circling, ready to strike. 1,000 meters and we'll be over the first meters. 600, 400, 200. There they go. The giant arm raised. Green flash. They're spraying us with flame. 2,000 engines are giving out. No chance to these bombs. Only the thing left. Drop on them, plane and all.
This is Deir el-Ahmar calling Chuen Lake. This is Deir el-Ahmar calling Chuen Lake. Come in, please. Come in, please.
This is Chuen Lake. Go ahead.
8 army bombers in engagement with enemy tripod machines over Deir el-Ahmar. Engines incapacitated by heat ray. All crashed. 1 enemy machine destroyed. Enemy now discharging heavy black smoke in direction.
This is Sidon. Warning. Poisonous black smoke pouring from the east. Gas masks useless. Urge population to move into open spaces. Automobiles use route 7, 23, 24. Avoid congested areas. Smoke now spreading.
2x2L calling CQ. 2x2L calling CQ. 2x2L calling 8x3R. Come in, please.
This is 8x3R. Coming back at 2x2L.
How's reception? How's reception? Kate, please. Where are you, 8x3R? What's the matter? Where are you?
I'm speaking from the roof of the St. Charles City Center. The bells we hear are ringing to warn the people to evacuate the city as the Martians approach. Estimated in the last 2 hours, 3 million people have moved out along the roads to the north. As major highways still kept open for motor traffic. Avoid bridges, hopelessly jammed. All communications outside the city closed 10 minutes ago. No more defenses. Our army wiped out. Artillery, air force, everything wiped out. This may be the last broadcast. We'll stay here to the end. People are holding service below us, in the cathedral. Now we look down the harbor. All manner of boat, overloaded with fleeing population, pulling out from the docks. Streets are all jammed. Noise in the crowd like New Year's Eve in the city. Wait a minute. Enemy now in sight. 5 great machines. Bulletins handed to me. Mamma mia. Martian cylinders are falling all over the country. Seems to be timed and spaced. Now the first machine reaches the city. He stands watching. His steel, cowlish head is even with the skyscrapers. He waits for the others. Now they rise like a line of new towers on the city's east side. Now they're lifting their metal hands. This is the end now. Smoke comes out. Black smoke, drifting all over the city. People in the streets, they see it now. They're running towards the sea. Thousands of them, dropping in like rats. Now the smoke's spreading faster. People are trying to run away from it, but it's no use. They're falling like flies. The smoke's 100 meters away. It's 20 meters.
Calling Q. 2x2L calling CQ. 2x2L calling CQ Beirut. Is there anyone on the air? Isn't there anyone? 2x2L.
You are listening to the KBABC presentation of the Vagabond International Theatre on the Air in an original dramatization of the War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. The performance will continue after a brief intermission.
Hey boy, what you got there? Hey, you got my granite's baseball signed by the whole 1885 New York Giants. I thought I was lost and gone forever. What's that? You found something else, boy? Wowzers, you found my great-grandma's wedding dress. I thought that got swept away down the river. What's that? You found something else, boy?
Hey, kiddo.
Dad? I thought you were at the store getting cigarettes.
Let's forget about all that and leave that in the past. Want to play some baseball?
Do I ever? Thanks, boy. You're the best dog in the whole wide world.
When you want to show your great little dog just how much you love them, choose Yappy's Dog Treats. Your pooch will love the taste of chicken liver and onions with just a hint of cheese. Yappy's Dog Treats for the best dogs in the whole world.
KBABC.
You're listening to KBABC, Beirut's American Broadcasting Company, newly acquired by Radio 11 in order to bring great audio programming from our tip-top studio to your waiting ears. Yes, KBABC, presenters of only the finest in modern shows and advertisements, such as The Source of Justice.
Now, Freddie Necklace, are you gonna talk, or do I have to get rough with you?
I ain't saying nothing, Torch. There ain't nothing you could ever do to me to make me sell out my boss and the boys.
Have it your way, Tess.
Take that. Take this. And one of these.
My two butlers.
No. It is my turn to clean the bathroom and your turn to clean the kitchen.
No. I insist that your arithmetic is incorrect. It is my turn to clean the bathroom and your turn for the kitchen.
Look here, you. Do I have to take off my white gloves and teach you some manners and basic calendar reading?
You do not have the gumption, tea drinker.
And have this.
How dare you?
Oh, sit alone. Oh.
You! I am better at butlering. I can do all of this better.
Oh, no, you cannot.
Yes, I can.
You cannot.
I am so much more cutlery than you.
Beverly has her day.
You'll see, Mr. Dalyard. Sometime soon. Maybe next week, maybe next month, maybe next year. I will have my time in the spotlight. I'm gonna make something of this big, old, nasty world. I'm gonna go out on that stage and let my soul fly free. And when the audience hears my voice, there won't be nothing nobody can do to me. Not anymore.
I believe you, Beverly. I know you may not believe me when I say it, but I do believe in you. One day, sometime soon, you will... Beverly, look out for those wild raccoons!
Oh my God! No! Get away from me! Not my ribbons! No! No! Get away!
And our newest sponsored documentary series, Stories of the Acme Furniture Company. Thank you for listening to KBABC. We now return to our broadcast, already in progress.
War of the World by H.G. Wells, starring the Vagabond International Theatre on the Air.
As I set down these notes on paper, I'm obsessed with the thought that I may be the last living woman on Earth. I have been hiding in this empty house in Sahela, a small island of daylight cut off by black smoke from the rest of the world. All that happened before the arrival of these monstrous creatures in the world now seems part of another life, a life that has no continuity with the present. threat of existence of the lonely derelict who pencils these words on the back of some astronomical notes bearing the signature of Margaret Pierson. I look down at my blackened hands, my torn shoes, my tattered clothes, and I try to remember them with a professor who, on the night of October 20th, glimpsed through her telescope an orange splash of light on a distant planet. My colleagues, my students, my books, my observatory, my worlds. Where are they? Did they ever exist? Am I Margaret Pierson? What day is it? Do days exist without calendars? Does time pass when there are no human hands left winding the clocks? The smoke still holds the house in its black coil, but at length there's a hissing sound, and suddenly I see a Martian mounted on his machine, spraying the air with jets of steam, as if to dissipate the smoke. I watch in a corner as his huge metal legs nearly brush against the house. Exhausted by terror, I fall asleep. It's morning. The sun streams in the window. The black cloud of gas is lifted, and the scorched meadows of the north look as though black snowstorm has passed over them. I venture from the house. I make my way to a road. No traffic. Here and there, a wrecked car, baggage overturned, a blackened skeleton. I push on north. For some reason, I feel safer trailing these monsters than running away from them, and I keep a careful watch. I have seen the Martians feed. Should one of their machines appear over the top of the trees, I'm ready to fling myself flat on the earth. Next day, I came to a city vaguely familiar in its contours, yet its buildings strangely dwarfed and leveled off, as if a giant had sliced its highest towers with a capricious sweep of his hand. I reached the outskirts. I found Sidon undemolished, but humbled by some whim of the advancing Martians. Presently, with an odd feeling of being watched, I caught sight of something crouching in a doorway. I made my step towards it, and it rose and became a woman. A woman armed with a large knife.
Stop. Where did you come from?
I come from many places. A long time ago, I was at Sahela when...
Sahela, huh? So you saw the...
Yeah, I did.
Sahela? There's no food here. This is my country. All of this town down to the river. There's only food for one. Which way are you going?
I don't know. I guess I'm looking for people.
Wait, what was that? Did you hear something just then?
Only a bird. A live bird?
You get to know that birds have shadows these days. Say, we're in the open here. Let's crawl into this doorway and talk.
Have you seen any Martians?
They've gone over to Beirut. At night, the sky is alive with their lights, just as if people were still living in it. By daylight, you can't see them. 5 days ago, a couple of them carried something big across the flats from the airport. I believe they're learning how to fly.
Fly?
Yeah, fly.
Then it's all over for humanity. Stranger, there's still you and I, 2 of us left.
They've got themselves in soap. They wrecked the greatest country in the world. Those green stars, they're probably falling somewhere every night. They've lost only one machine. There isn't anything to do. We're done. We're licked.
Where were you? You're in uniform.
What's left of it? I was a soldier of fortune, attached to the Legion. That's good. Wasn't any war any more than there's a war between men and ants.
And we're eatable ants. I found that out. What will they do to us?
I've thought it all out, see. Right now, we're caught as we're wanted. The Martians only have to go a few miles to get a crowd on the run. But they won't keep doing that. They'll begin catching us, systematic-like, keeping the best and storing us in cages and things. Oh, they haven't even begun on us yet.
Not begun?
Not begun. All that's happened so far is because we don't have the sense enough to keep quiet, bothering them with guns and such stuff, and losing our heads, running off in crowds. Now, instead of our rushing around blind, we've got to fix ourselves up according to the way things are now. Cities, nations, civilization, progress.
But if that's so, what is there left to live for?
Oh, there won't be any more concerts for 1 million years or so, and no nice little diners at restaurants. If it's amusement you're after, I guess the game's up.
And what is there left?
Life. That's what. I want to live, and so do you. We're not going to be exterminated, and I don't meant to be caught either, and tamed and fattened and bred like ox.
What are you going to do?
I'm going on, right under their feet. I got a plan. We don't know enough, see? We've got to learn plenty before we've got a chance. And we've got to live and keep free while we learn. I thought it all out, see?
Tell me the rest.
Well, it isn't all of us that are made for wild beasts, and that's what it's got to be. That's why I watched you. All the little office workers that used to run and live in those houses, they'd be no good. They haven't got any stuff in them. They just used to run off to work. I've seen hundreds of them, running wild to catch their commuter's train in the morning for fear they'd be canned if they didn't, and running back at night afraid they won't be in time for dinner. Lives insured and a little invested in case of accidents, and on Sundays, worried about the hereafter. The Martians will be a godsend for those guys. Nice roomy cages, good food, careful breeding, no worries. After a week or so chasing about the field on empty stomachs, they'll come and be glad to be caught.
You've thought it all out, haven't you?
You bet I have. And that isn't all. These Martians will make pets of some of them, train them to do tricks. Who knows? Get sentimental over the boy who grew up and had to be killed. And some, maybe, they'll train to hunt us.
No, that's impossible. No human being.
Oh, yes, they will. There's men who will do it gladly. If one of them ever came after me.
In the meantime, you and I and others like us, where are we to live when the Martians on the Earth?
I've got it all figured out, see? We'll live underground. I've been thinking about the sewers. Under Beirut are miles and miles of them. The main ones are big enough for anybody. Then there's the cellars, vaults, underground storerooms, railway tunnels, subways. You begin to see, eh? And we'll get a bunch of strong men together. Not the weak ones. That rubbish, out.
As you meant me to go?
Well, I gave you a chance, didn't I?
We don't quarrel about that. Go on.
And we've got to make safe spaces for us to stay and see and get all the books we can. Science books. That's where eggheads like you come in, see? We'll raid museums. We'll even spy on the Martians. It may not have to learn so much before, well, just imagine 4 or 5 of their own fighting machines suddenly start off, heat rays right and left, and not a Martian in them. Not a Martian in them. But people who've learned the way how. It may even be in our time. Oh, gee. Imagine having one of them lovely things with its heat ray wide and free. We turn it on the Martians. We turn it on the men. We bring everybody down to their knees.
That's your plan?
You and me and a few more of us. We'd own the world.
I see.
Say, what's the matter? Where are you going?
Not to your world. Goodbye, stranger. After parting with the artilleryman, I came at last to the outskirts of Beirut. I walked down the middle of the once busy streets, anxious to know the fate of the great city. Cautiously, I made my way down to the coastal highway. I reached the souks, and there again were black powder in several bodies, and an evil, ominous smell from the gratings of the cellars of some of the houses. I stood alone on Homer Street, caught sight of a lean cat running down the street with a piece of dark brown meat in his jaws, and a pack of starving felines at his heels. I hurried on. Suddenly, I caught sight of the hood of a Martian machine standing on the hillside of my old university, gleaming in the late afternoon sun. An insane idea. I rushed recklessly across the main gate. I hid behind a grand root twisted tree. From there I could see, standing in a silent row among the broken foliage, 19 of the great metal titans. Their cowls empty, their steel arms hanging listlessly by their sides. I looked in vain for the monsters that inhabit those machines. Suddenly, my eyes attracted an immense flock of black birds that circled the grounds. There, before my eyes, stark and silent, lay the Martians with the hungry birds pecking and tearing brown shreds of flesh from their dead bodies. Later, when their bodies were examined in laboratories, it was found that they were killed by putrefaction and disease bacteria against
which their systems were unprepared, slain after all men's defenses have failed by the humblest thing upon this earth. Before the cylinder fell, there was a general persuasion that through all the deep of space, no life existed beyond the petty surface of our minute sphere. Now we see further. Strange now it seems to sit in my peaceful study writing down this last chapter of the record begun at a deserted vineyard in Sahela. Strange to see my window the university spires dim and blue through April haze. Strange to watch children playing in the streets. Strange to see young people strolling on the green, where the new spring grass heals the last black scars of a bruised earth. Strange to watch the sightseers enter the museum where the disassembled parts of a Martian machine were kept on public view. Strange when I recall the time when I first saw it, bright and clean cut, hard and silent, unto the dawn of the last great day.
And that one is you, no other will do. I've lost all ambition for worldly acclaim. I just want to be the one you love. And with your admission that you'd feel the same, I'll have reached the goal I'm dreaming of. Believe me, I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame in your...
You've been listening to the Vagabond International Theatre in the Air's performance of War of the Worlds, originally adapted for the radio by Orson Welles and Howard Koch, here adapted for Lebanese airwaves by S. Burnham. The cast of characters for tonight's performance has included, in order of appearance, Christina Maria Van Zaan as announcer Marylou Singer, Simone Tenenti as announcer Mikael Claudio San Paulo, Abigail Macomber as Carl Phillips and Hilda Boswell the Stranger, Janna Livingston as Professor Margaret Pierson, Haya Hassan as Policeman, Observer, Commander Voght, the Yappy mascot, Commercial Actor Number 1, and Assorted Voices. Yasmin Saddi as Angelique Bordeaux and Operator Number 1. Ayla Mattar as General Winston Smith, Officer Joanne Ruth, Operator Frank Don, and Assorted Voices. Karma Hamsadine as Vice President McDonald, Operator Doris Brown, and the commercial announcer. Ren Zaradine as Captain Lansing, Secretary General of the League of Nations, and Operator Number 4. Morgan Suma as Gunner Benjamin, Operator Dave, Little Kiddo, and Assorted Voices. Sophie Joblin as Absent Father and Commercial Actor Number 2. Sound effects have been provided by Haya Hassan, Ayla Mattar, and Morgan Suma. Music provided by Saeed Al-Qadi, Yasmin Saddi, Simone Tenenti, Sonia Khan, Ilyas Ziadeh, Noura Gandour, and directed by Eric Bonnet. Stage crew includes Ibrahim El-Char and Arlie Diouf. Costume design provided by Yasmin Zaraket and Amelia Makarim. Enormous thanks to our stage manager and all-around fantastic person, Sophie Joblin. Directorial guidance and set design provided by James McLean. This production was directed and edited by Sean Burnham for ACS Beirut. Thank you for listening. Goodbye and good night.
Lost all ambition for worldly acclaim. I just want to be the one you love. And with your admission that you'd feel the same, I'll have reached the goal I'm dreaming of. Believe me, I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start